New York streets and buildings are not just about brick and stone. They're about people. When you look down any street, you have to see a tableau which is not just architectural, but also human. I'm Christopher Gray, and I write the Streetscapes column for the New York Times. Broadway is Manhattan's most chaotic avenue. It's a jumble of skyscrapers and little houses and brownstones and frame buildings and theaters and hotels and apartment buildings. And Broadway north of 96th Street has so many building elements, art moderne and Edwardian and ancient and glassy modern. The architecture of Broadway in this section moved in kind of clumps. Some little old buildings from the rural area in the 1900s, and then very quickly these 6- and 7-story apartment houses, followed by the 12-story apartment house and sometimes apartment hotel in the 1920s. It started again with Ariel East and Ariel West. These two tall, glassy things have infuriated West Siders, drives them nuts. They're big and modern and fancy and expensive, and especially different. You know, you think of Times Square, Broadway and Times Square as being the theater district, but theaters were strung out along Broadway, including in this little 10-block stretch. There were 4 at various times, 2 at 96th and 97th Street, one demolished for Ariel West, and the last is still surviving, the Metro, which was built as the Midtown. It's a lovely little terracotta gem in sort of pink and black licorice. When you stand on 104th and 105th Street and you take this old 1890 photograph looking south, you can hardly believe the change that's overtaken the area in barely a century, from open land and little truck gardens and to this thoroughfare of big steel and concrete framed apartment houses of the 1910s and 1920s, and then the more recent 40-story skyscrapers at 100th Street. It's hard to believe.